Welcome back to the kickoff. Today is the day after Manchester United beat Man City away from home in the dying seconds. Unbelievable scenes. I'm just looking at the form guide now, lads. Man City in 18th in the form table. 1 win in 11 games for Pep Guardiola. 8 defeats in 11 in all competitions. Since November the 1st, Man City have picked up just 0.5 points per game, the worst record of any Premier League side. The game, actually, I didn't think it was like a good derby game. It was a bit flat. I thought both teams were shit, personally.
Yeah. Completely
like aside from Ahmad, but
yeah, I mean, it's a mad thing at the end of that game when Ahmad gets the winner. Bearing in mind, this guy wasn't a starter at the start of this season, and you come out of a Manchester derby and go, you were comfortably the best player on the pitch. And the amount of other players there who've won everything, who've done so much, who just didn't show themselves in that game at all. Like, it was such a low quality game. And I feel like there's been a bit of a pattern of that this season, of like Super Sunday games, big teams playing each other. And you get to like 60, 70 minutes and you sat there going, has anything happened? And then suddenly it sort of takes light at the end of the game.
I'm getting frustrated with the level of quality in this league. Like, we get told it's the best league in the world, but like, so many games are hard to watch. And to be fair, part of it is just the big players of Man City aren't stepping up for Pep Guardiola. And I think for a while, I've said, like, is Pep Guardiola a great manager? Yes, but let's not kid ourselves. The tools he's working with are the best in the business, and that makes him look even better than what he is, right? So Erling Haaland and Phil Foden, 2 players who carried them for the last couple of seasons, anonymous game after game after game. I can't remember. I think it was Jacob Murphy. I put a comparison of Jacob Murphy's stats this season, who was in no uncertain terms a fucking championship player, and yet he's massively outperforming Phil Foden this season. It's unbelievable. Like, what are we watching with these lads? And do you have any explanation as to why they're like just dropping off a cliff?
Do you know what? For me, yeah. Okay, a lot of people are going to say, the people that are going to, back Man City, they're going to be like, well, they've won it 4 times in a row. They're allowed to drop off or whatever, right? And yeah, you can expect maybe a team to drop off after, because even Fergie didn't win it 4 times in a row. Do you know what I mean? He'd win it 2, maybe 3, then they'd lose it, then he'd go back again and win it. But this drop off this fall off has to be studied. This is deeper than, you know what, we just can't be bothered this year or whatever. There's something internally deeper going on here, because like you said, they were 1-0 up against Man City, and I was watching them and they just did not look like Man City at all. Every bit of play that they did, usually when they have the ball, they kind of like suffocate teams and push them back. It's like they were playing like they don't know each other. Like, the passes, they were making the wrong decisions. The wingers, Savinho and Doku, look terrible. Like, these are supposed to be the future wingers of Man City. You know what I mean? Like, Savinho's supposed to be the replacement for Mahrez. Doku's supposed to be, I don't know, like the replacement for Sterling or Jack Grealish, who, by the way, can't even get a game, even though they're in terrible form, which I find strange in itself. But they look terrible, these players. And we're talking about players that cost a lot of money, that have a lot of ability, but for some reason under Pep Guardiola right now, they're not performing. Foden looks a shadow of himself. Haaland is one of the most deadly strikers in world football, and he just looks like devoid of ideas right now. And then you go to the back. Kyle Walker, man, I was laughing my head off at the way Roy Keane roasted him for what that was embarrassing. That was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in football.
He's been very embarrassing this season. Like, he's had a lot of stinkers, a lot of moments where you point him out as the main man at fault for many goals. But this was the most embarrassing thing, right? When a young lad like Højlund, squares up to you like that, and there's none of that, right? And he didn't
push his head at all.
He drops to the floor like a little bitch like that, trying to get Højlund sent off. And I'm like, is this how bad it is for you? Is this how far you've fallen? And like, we all know Kyle Walker's personal life's been a bit of a shambles, but this was a new low, right?
No, it was.
This was the end of Kyle Walker's reputation. Like, he's going out in like kamikaze style, just playing crash into the floor type shit.
Yeah, because even when, and I don't really care about footballers' personal lives like that, but even when all of that madness going around with Kyle Walker and it's all for everyone to see, he always got off the hook because he was winning and he was performing on the pitch. So no one gave a damn about what was going on in your personal life or how silly you was being. On the pitch, you was getting the job done. You was running back, beating wingers. Now that the form's fallen off a cliff, you can't excuse any of this behavior now. You have nothing to bail you out, bro. It's just embarrassing.
Let's talk about the goals real quick before we talk about Manchester United. Well, we'll talk about Pep and then Man United, but the goals that they conceded, the back pass from Nunes, completely asleep. We talked about a lot of the signings that Pep's made. Another questionable signing where he plays in Ahmad and then panics and just clatters him. And my favourite bit about this, there's an angle from the goal line pointing towards the challenge, and you see Pep just in the background, and he just like looks like he's going to rip his whole fucking face off. The minute this fucking tackle goes in, he's like, "Oh, god damn it!" And he's just losing it. And you think, "What were you doing?" Like the first thing was bad enough, but you've just handed him. Like there was players getting back. It wasn't that necessary. It brings them down. Obviously, Bruno scores. What do you make of that, lads? Just in the lack of concentration and the panic that's set in there.
Lack of confidence, like complete and utter lack of confidence. This is a £60 million player, by the way. Nunes wasn't some like punt from Europe that they spent 20 million quid on. 60 million quid. And it wasn't long before that they bought him. Pep was doing interviews when he was still in Portugal, Nunes. Pep was saying this is one of the best midfielders on the planet. This guy, like, we don't talk about this enough with Man City. The amount of players that they spend a lot of money on and they just burn their careers. Like Calvin Phillips played for England. Just gone. He's gone. Like,
Jack Grealish, same.
Jack Grealish, I think it's 45 games without a goal for Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
£100 million signing.
No way is it that long.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's 45 games. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like Phil Foden, player of the season last season. Now, like, there was that one moment where Foden, like, beat a couple of players and took a shot. And I was like, that's the first time I've seen Phil Foden since May. It's December. Like the goal they conceded, I've got to be honest with you. When they give away that penalty, in my opinion, that should have been the second penalty they conceded in that game. I thought Diaz.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the Highland. So Highland was brought down in the box. The leg goes across his body, doesn't touch the ball.
That's a pen.
It was a penalty to me. And I thought Mike Dean's reaction to it, when he said, it's not enough in a game like this. Mike Dean, someone highly respected by all referees, he's supposed to be the authority of it, clearly admitting on Sky that you referee different incidents in different games differently. That is fucking fraudulent. That is a disgrace, isn't it, lads?
Yeah, I'm sorry. A foul's a foul. A foul's a foul. He doesn't get the ball. He clearly impedes him. And I've got to say, like, we spoke about Walker there. Diaz is another one who's suddenly starting to look old now. Suddenly starting to look just half a yard off the pace. Suddenly starting to look like strikers like Højlund can get round him, give him problems, stress him out. And it's the story with so much of that City team. They just suddenly look old.
The Ahmad goal at the end, the run he makes in behind, and you see Martinez look up, and this was like an old school Premier League, like Michael Owen type of run, where he just cuts inside, breaks between the lines, they fucking fire it over the top. It was so easy to beat them, and even the way they dealt with when he skews the ball towards goal, still plenty of opportunity to clear it. He tries this whimsical back heel.
No, oh my God. Brian, I'm so glad you highlighted that. And I don't want to rain on Amad Diallo's performance because he was the standout player in the game. Do you know what I mean? Like Rashford got dropped, Garnacho got dropped, and he took that opportunity and really showed I am the winger going forward for this team. However, that goal could have been cleared. Like I don't know what Vardio was doing. The ball's come across, like you said, he tries a weird back swoop it away. Like it's almost like he wanted it to go in the net. I was so confused. Like I didn't understand that. It was very weird. The ball didn't even have pace on it as well. The shot, by the way, it kind of just like rolled across, cut across, and he didn't clear it. It was so weird.
As a competitor, Josh, who's someone who didn't even dream you'd be this far out of sight of Man City as a Chelsea fan, what are you making of this collapse? Because you've probably been still looking over your shoulder, thinking at some point they're going to come back for us. Is this dead and buried now for you?
Yeah, well, my Pep Guardiola voodoo doll has got quite a few pins in it at the moment, actually, and I'm glad it's working, to be fair. No, I haven't been praying for this downfall too much, but I have really enjoyed it in a weird way. The thing is with Pep Guardiola is he's been so perfect for so long and that team have been so imperious that I don't think I ever believed that they could even lose 2 games in a row, let alone the form that they're in right now. So I have to say, it's reassuring in that you can buy football, you can spend all this money, you can get the best managers, you can get the best players, you can invest over a period of time, you can invest in your youth team and do all of that, right? And yet still football is football. And what I'm the most glad about this result in particular, and also the season as a whole, is that we're not sort of carrying on a Farmers League sort of mentality. And we do have a bit more of a title race. This title race, I've said it over and over again. Yeah, my team were involved in it, but I think this is going to have twists and turns. I think we're going to have the rest of the season is going to be a fun one. Arsenal are not out of it. Probably City are out of it.
That's what's mental. Is this
at least it's freeway?
I feel like this is the biggest drop off in terms of like an unbeatable team in the eyes of all of us. Like we're just so sick of seeing them win title after title after title. Craig not as much, but this is like the
listen. Anyone that keeps Arsenal from winning it, I'm down with.
Fair play.
So Chelsea, even you lot, go on. Yeah. So go on, Brad.
But this is in terms of like there's drop offs and then there's this, right? You've gone from being the best team in world football for like so long to just being pathetic. And it is. And look, we've mentioned the signings of Pep Guardiola. This hasn't happened by accident. Yes, Haaland can still come good. Foden can turn things around later. But some of these boys who he signed are never ever going to be up to scratch to what he inherited even. Pep Guardiola coached a lot of these players to become better players when he took over, but he was given a fuckload of good players and he obviously added to that. Now we're seeing him having to completely turn this team over, and the likes of Doku and players like, you know, like that aren't that great. They're not worth the amount of money you spent on them. And it's that midfield is so weak compared to what we've seen in years and years ago. Even before Pep Guardiola, remember Fernandinho, Yaya Toure with Kevin De Bruyne in front? That was levels above what we're watching right now. He has actively made this team worse now.
Can I ask you something? And obviously I don't want to give them an out because it is bad. How do you feel that they would still, and everyone's going to say he's the manager. If he's that good, he should be able to find the solutions anyway. But do you feel they're still in this position if Rodri's not injured?
Well, not that bad, but it would.
Would they still be in the title race right now if Rodri was there?
I just don't think it's that simple. I agree with Jacob in that, like, Rodri's a massive player. And he's like, and you've basically pulled out the card and the deck of cards are coming down. But equally, I don't think they win the title with Rodri even, because it's so many of these other players are so shit.
But you're so mad. The ones that are really shit right now, funnily enough, are the legends and the experienced one, like Gundogan, who they brought back. Their midfield yesterday was Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, and they both just look like old guys running around tired.
But they are tired. They are old tired guys. They are old tired guys. I'm sorry, they are. But bro, like Father Time comes for all of us.
Yeah.
Like me and Craig were talking before we started recording about how, you know, we get 2-day hangovers now. We're in our mid-30s. Like this does come. This is the thing. I'm sorry. I think their recruitment has just been a little bit off the last couple of years. And I think when you look at really good teams, what they do is they buy the replacement for a player just before that player's about to drop. And I don't think they've done that with a few players now. They've had to bring Gundogan back. Like, there's never really been a concession plan for De Bruyne, despite the fact that we've had 2 or 3 years of De Bruyne getting big injuries, taking longer to come back. Not really. Like, don't get me wrong. When De Bruyne's on it and fit, he's still one of the best midfielders in the league. But they just haven't succession planned.
You can't bet your season on him now, can you? It's not going to happen, is it?
They sold Alvarez in the summer, and we spoke about this a lot. They never replaced Alvarez.
Yeah.
And they needed him last season. Alvarez scored important goals for them last season, and they didn't buy anyone else in that number 10 spot, the number 9 spot. And I think they're a little bit arrogant. And I will say, I believe if they do have Rodri fit, they would be in this title race. Because I've got to be honest with you, with 5 minutes to go yesterday, I was looking at City and I was looking at this City team where it's all gone wrong. Pep's never fallen off harder. And I went, oh shit, they're level on points with Arsenal. Like that's the mad thing about this league table is I'm not shitting on anyone. Liverpool are the best team in Europe right now. this is going to be an 84, 85 point league title winner this season. Do you know what I mean? The quality just isn't what it's been the last 3 or 4 years.
Do you remember the top 4 race that we had a few years ago where like, no worries, bro. We'll start again. I don't know what's going on with Josh's thing.
You were about to say top 4 race, Brian.
There was that top 4 race like a couple of years back, where it was a case of who doesn't want it. Like, exactly. It feels like no one's capable of being consistent and let's talk about Pep Guardiola's state of mind here, because we've witnessed like some really peculiar things lately, from the scratching of the face, but also like I remember how bitter Klopp became, you know, and Jose, and we've seen bitterness, but this doesn't feel the same. It feels like you're really not good at losing. And it's like, I can imagine him being quite difficult to be around at home right now for the missus. Like, I feel like he's taken it to a point of like mental health issues where you're like, fucking hell, mate. Like, you don't look all right. Are you guys, do you think it's that bad, or am I overdoing it?
No, it is that bad. Didn't you see, I think I sent it to you, man, that clip the other week where he's walking down the street and someone said something.
Yeah.
Was that a clip or an old clip?
No, I think
we've
it's
been
old.
told it's an old one.
How old though? I think it was like a few months, like as in the cup final old or whatever, but it came out right after the Liverpool game and it was a Scouse accent. So it seemed like,
okay.
But regardless,
but he's
that
capable.
was the kind of the start of all of this. Right?
Yeah.
They lost the cup. They've not really recovered from that.
Yeah, Pep's like a mad scientist, isn't he? Like, he's like one of those guys. He's very eccentric, and because he's not used to losing, I mean, look at this form. He's never in his career dealt with this form. I don't even think as a player he dealt with anything like this. So this is the first time I feel like in his career as a player and as a manager, you're dealing with this level of form right now. And I don't think he knows how to process it.
Like, you know what else I think it is, though? I think it's his ego, right? And like, obviously he's got an ego. He's a fucking winner, right? He's a lunatic. But equally, like, what's been leveled at Pep over the years? Well, if you didn't have all that money, or if you didn't have that amazing Barca squad, or if you didn't have the treble-winning European champions at Bayern, how good would you be, really? And he's always like, yeah, but I'm a winner, so who cares? And now all of a sudden, the fucking chickens are coming home to roost a bit. He's trying to refresh a squad. He's not done it well. And the tactical genius is just getting destroyed game after game after game. They're not playing good football anymore. And this thing about like, this criticism that I've had with him, for example, of like, if Pep Guardiola and Klopp had the same squad level, the same money, I don't think, you know, it would have been as dominant for Pep. I still think he would have won titles. But now all of those theories about him, he's like, fuck me, like, I've been rumbled here a bit, and I think he's feeling humiliated right now. And that's why when his post-match speeches, they're childish. Like, he's not coming across as a grown man who knows how to lose with dignity. He's coming across as someone who feels like he wants the ground to swallow him up because he can't bear like, you're doing football matches every week, bro. You got to learn how to lose with a bit of like class about you, instead of just this. And you know that interview we did last week when Rigo got sent off.
Weird. It was weird.
Like, they were asking him questions, and is Rigo? And like, you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like,
do you know why you're right as well, Brad?
Coherent sentences here.
Do you know why you're right as well? Because it's like, even after every game, I'm seeing it, after every single game that they lose, like even yesterday, he walks out on the pitch, right? And he's shaking everyone's hand. His players, he's consoling them. He's shaking the opposition. And usually you look at that and go, oh, that's a man dealing with it well. But it just feels like, doesn't feel genuine. It feels like shrouded in sarcasm and like, do you know what I mean?
You
like,
hate
he's
doing
just like
this right now, don't you? Yeah, you can tell it. He
it's
fucking hates it.
Like, he wants to like put his hand round one of his players and actually strangle them on the pitch. But he's just like, just don't worry. Yeah, come on.
That is
like,
so true, though.
It's just not, you can tell he's doing all of that for the cameras, putting on the brave face.
And now, a word from our sponsors. I don't know about you, but I am sick to death of spam emails, calls from numbers I don't recognise, and random letters through the post. It does me head in. And I've been wondering, like, how do these people even get our information? Well, I've done a bit of research, and it turns out the answer is data brokers. There's actually an entire market out there where these data brokers just buy your information. I'm talking your name, your age, your financial information, your email address, your actual address. It's insane. And because of all these data breaches you hear about in the news, the amount of data on offer for these people to purchase about us increased last year by 72%. And because of this, these cyber criminals can actually just take out a loan in someone's name with their address and they won't even know about it. And this is how mental it's gotten. Because of AI, these people can mimic other people's voices, call people up, and trick them out of money. And the way to stop all of this is actually through today's sponsor, Incogni. They reach out to these data brokers on your behalf and make sure that your data is removed from their database. And once you're with Incogni, it will continue to scour the internet and continue to make sure that your data stays removed. So you get that continuous protection. All you have to do is click the link in the description below, sign up to Incogni, and tell them whose data you'd want removed. You then give them permission to work on your behalf to protect you. Then you kick back, let Incogni do its thing, and they will consistently update you as your data is being removed. And that gives you the peace of mind to know for a fact that you're protected. And Incogni is risk-free, so you can try it for 30 days, and if you don't think it's for you, you can get a free refund. If you want to look after yourself, you know what to do. Click the link in the description below, go to incogni.com/kickoff and use our code KICKOFF, that's all block capitals, all one word, KICKOFF, for 60% off the annual plan. So a big love to Incogni for looking after us, but for now, enjoy the video. Because he said something in an interview about, look, if we're still losing like this in a month's time, I'll just leave because obviously it's not working anymore. That for me, that is unthinkable, but he said it. So we have to accept, like, he's not a bullshitter like that. I wouldn't like, and also with someone who's not used to losing, the toys are well and truly coming out the pram to come out with that. Could we see that? Because we've seen that from managers before.
Yeah. And mate, there was all that talk, Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, all saying 2-year extension. Yeah, it's done. It's signed. That was 2 weeks ago. There's been no announcement. That's weird to me. Yeah. You never usually get that amount of gap, between the big leagues. And let's be fair, Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, that's proper leagues. That means something has happened, but no announcement. Nothing. And
so what's going on then? Has he signed a contract then or not? And they just not released it?
The reports from the journalists are that he agreed it, but the word was always agreed. It was never the word signed, and we've not seen any announcement. And the thing I wonder about with Pep, the court case is done. 117 charges. They have decided what's going to happen. It's not been announced yet. But what does
it's actually been up to 130 charges, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have you heard?
Oh, they know the verdict.
No, they don't. Like they've just said when they went through all the details. If true, it's 130 charges, not 115.
My suspicion is I don't think they're going to be spending in January. I don't think they're going to spend loads of money in January until all of this is settled. And I think that's the big thing for him at the moment. Is you look at that squad. And you go, what's the fix? What do you try? Do you know what I mean? What do you twist? He tried taking Edison out and bringing Ortega. I just think he doesn't know what to do. I feel like he doesn't know what button to press with this team now. And if he can't go out in January and buy a Zubamendi or buy someone to take that Rodri role at the base of midfield, that's where I think he might just go, well, I might as well walk. Because if there's nothing I can do, what's the point in just sitting here and watching us finish fourth, watching us finish fifth, maybe?
I can't see him walking though. Not now. I can't see him walking during the season. Not in the middle of a season. I'd see him at the end of the season. I think he'll leave and he won't re-sign. He'll go. But I cannot see him storming out. Mate, I don't know. I could be wrong, but he doesn't seem like a quitter. That's quitting. I feel like end of the season, contracts up. Walk, see where they are.
Shall we play this out, right? Like, if they do get the punishment, do you think that makes him more likely or less likely to stay? So say, for example, it is 60 points and they do go down. Do you think that Pep Guardiola leaves immediately? Because if you're asking my perspective, I think he ends up staying. I think he wants to prove everyone wrong. It's just this weird personality trait that he's got from that perspective. Do you know what's
beautiful? Do you know what I love about this, lads? I've always wanted to see this fucking prick tested. And now, through his own ego, he's got this issue where, look, if they'd kept winning and none of this had ever happened, and he'd got in the end of the season, they got the points deduction, he'd fucked off or whatever, it's just a nice, clean look. I was brilliant at the bitter end, me. But the fact that it's all come crashing down before that can happen, he's now like, fuck me, I'm getting found out here. If I walk now before the point, I look like a fucking quitter. I look like an on-top fighter. I look like someone who can be happy bullying the other guy, but when I take one back on the chin, I'm fucking off. Like it's a label that you've just said, Craig. Is he a quitter? Well, his whole career is unblemished. If he walks now, quitter. Pep Guardiola only have it his own way. He's a fucking quitter. And now he's getting tested even when he never anticipated it. And like I love boxing, obviously, and sometimes when a fight kicks off, when the other guy's not expecting it, not ready, Andy Ruiz style, oh, you're in a fight right now, Pep Guardiola, and now you have to really fucking prove something. He needs to go out in the January transfer market. There's rumours there is a good few $100 million to spend. And I guess we're going to find out what he's made of.
I've heard that rumor as well, Brian, right?
Yeah.
But how the fuck can they spend that with all the PSR stuff going on?
I can only assume.
I don't think they've got the leeway to spend 100 million.
Everything you're saying is completely logical. I would guess that there may be a hint of them going, well, we're going to get fucked anyway. We might as well fucking go for it now while we can. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about the Man United lads, specifically Ahmad. Now, a few months ago, even I was saying, why is this guy not fucking starting under Ten Hag? Clearly, Ten Hag had to go with the lads he's shelled out fucking hundreds of millions on. This kid's got something, and if we're looking at his, I'll just bring his quick stats up. He, since starting against Leicester, he has been involved directly in 7 Premier League goals, and only Mohamed Salah has been involved in more during that period in the Premier League. So this kid looks pretty fucking special, like.
Yeah, he was special at Sunderland as well. Like anyone who watched the Championship regularly would say he was a really, really good player at Sunderland. And I think the reason Ruben Amorim likes him so much, he just works his fucking bollocks off. And we look at the 2 players that were dropped from the squad yesterday. You cannot say that about Rashford. I don't know if you can say that about Garnacho in the same way as that. Ahmad worked that fucking wing the whole game. And I watched United come to the Emirates 10 days ago, and I watched us beat them with corner kicks. And even in that game, when he came on at half time, I'm going to be very honest with you, we shat ourselves. I don't know why he didn't start. I don't know why he didn't start.
That was a massive mistake from the manager, clearly.
Maybe, but he's coming in, he's learning these players, and I have to say a lot of credit to Amorim, because the team that I watched at the Emirates, compare that to a Ten Hag team, it was completely fucking different. The way I watched them at the Emirates, and I think they were kind of similar against City yesterday, they look like a canny European team. They look like a smart European team. They're compact. They know their distances. They don't give too much away. I think City had less than 1 expected goal in that game yesterday, which is pretty fucking impressive for the United team to not give away any more than that. But when Ahmad came on at the Emirates last week, mate, we had to get Zinchenko off the pitch. Like Zinchenko had been in his armchair, nice and comfy, invert into midfield, pass, don't look over your shoulder. Diallo comes on, and suddenly Zinchenko's shitting himself, and they nearly scored from Zinchenko giving away a free kick that they got ahead of. Mate, like, there's
another thing I saw from him which I really liked as well, and some people might just say it's a bit like, I don't know, petulant or whatever, but before they got the penalty, there was a moment where he did a bit of skill, tried to go through, and then I think one of them cleared it, and he started kicking the post. Did you see that? He started kicking the post out of frustration that it didn't come off, and I was like, yeah, that's what you want. You want to see someone that cares. Like, he cares.
Craig, when's the last time you saw Rashford like that?
Well, this brings us on to the Rashford situation, lads. Like, Rashford and Garnacho dropped from the squad ahead of your biggest game of the season, arguably, right? It's a fucking derby, desperate for a result. And by the way, and they still won without them, which is such a fuck you to Rashford. Seeing he take an Instagram picture from his armchair, watching it on TV, sort of cheering the lads on. But there's a lot of rumours about attitude, about discipline, some rumours that they were out clubbing a couple of days beforehand, something like that. I've heard lots of different reasons. The bottom line is we've all been questioning the attitude of Rashford, especially for a long time now. There's hints of them wanting to get rid of him. Is this just the slow beginning of the end for Marcus Rashford when you're getting dropped from the squad and you're not in the England squad?
I'm gonna go on a limb and say I think that he's in Amorim's plans, and this was he wanted a reaction. This is what I believe, because you can't convince me, no matter how poor or out of form Rashford is, or his attitude, that Anthony deserves a place on the bench ahead of him. And Anthony came on the pitch, by the way, in a Manchester derby. Like, I don't care how out of form Rashford is. Anthony is terrible. Like, he's a terrible player, and he put him on the bench. So to me, that screams, I'm showing you something here. I don't give a fuck about how much money you're on here. I don't care that you're a grassroots homegrown player. I don't care how much fans you have at this club or how much PR you've done with giving food and dinners away. I will drop you out like a bad habit in a second. So I think for me, this was a reaction tactic. I need you guys to know I will hang you out to dry if you don't put in the effort. And I think it will work. That's my opinion.
Do you?
What we have to see.
Honestly.
How many times has this happened before? That's the only issue. Like, Ten Hag did the same thing, remember?
Yeah, but the difference is when Ten Hag did it, for example, I know it's a bit different because with Sancho, he didn't even play him, left him out, and then hung him out in a press conference completely, right? After they lost to Arsenal. And that was the end of him and Sancho's relationship from that point forward. But the difference is you saw Marcus Rashford still, after the game, putting out, people could say it's PR or whatever it is, but he still put it out, congratulating, cheering the team on. He's not given the reaction Sancho gave when Ten Hag left him out of the plans. Do you get what I'm saying here? So I think
I agree.
Go on.
Yeah, I agree with your basic point that like this is to get a reaction. My thing is like there's so many rumors about them wanting to get rid of Rashford. I think this is a horrendous sign for him as a player, and the fact that you're 20, your big age, you're supposed to be a seasoned pro at this point. You've had 10 years in the Premier League, and you're still needing these lessons about that you're not conducting yourself. By the way, mate, brand new manager. So if you're ever going to be on your best fucking behavior, it should be now. You can't get your shit together at this point in your career. You're a fucking disgrace. And Rashford is a joke at this point.
So you don't think this is what he's trying to do, though? Do you think
I think that Amarim's doing a good job here. Amarim's doing the right thing. I've got no problem with the stance Amarim's taken, because you know what? Most managers with Rashford, it seems to take forever to give a bit of discipline to him. With this guy, it's happened a lot quicker, which tells me Amarim's a lot more switched on to the levels and the standards that he expects from these boys, and he's putting it out there. You better fucking live up to this or you can get the fuck. But
that's my point. This is the platform he's given him. This is the opportunity. He's saying, this is it here. You either take it, put in the work hard, run back, do all the basics, and then elevate your game, or you leave. I feel like this is the option he's giving him right now.
He's had 1,000,001 chances, and we always end up at this point, and yet we've ended up at this point at light speed now. So I'm just like, I've got no faith in Marcus Rashford as a footballer.
So what about Garnacho? Because he's done the same thing with him as well. So he's done it at the same time, and Garnacho hasn't been there that long.
I don't think you combine those two players though. Like, let's be honest, they're going to have a gutting at Manchester United. They're going to have to sell quite a few players. And I do think that Rashford is one of those players they're going to try and flog. The problem with Rashford is, how much is he on a week?
325 grand.
That is just insane. Who the hell is going to be able to afford that? Rashford is going to have to take a massive pay cut. He's going to have to take a huge pay cut.
When people talk about, when Man United fans say we're selling Rashford, I'm always like, who the fuck to, mate? Like, immediately, Saudi will be mentioned, maybe. But that's the only league in the world, I think, where he's going to get that kind of money. One person I want to ask Josh about, 10 minutes into the game, Mason Mount comes off injured.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the greatest sales in the history of the Premier League. £60 million for this lad.
Yeah.
What is it like for you watching just his career as a wreck, mate?
Well, it's only second to Kai Havertz, as Jacob will tell you. You know, he can't put the ball in the back of the net. Mason Mount's career has just gone off such a cliff. And you know what's so funny is he was so good for us. He never put a foot wrong. Mm-hmm. He very rarely really got significantly injured. And I don't know what has happened since he's come home and he's gone in that Man United dressing room, but he's just completely lost it. I don't wish ill will on Mason Mount, but I have to say, I'm so worried about the injuries after injuries after injuries. It feels very much like a Reece James, Luke Shaw, Chilwell kind of situation where you go, do these boys ever come back and actually play at the highest level again? If they keep getting injuries and keep getting these recurring problems.
He's not old either.
No.
You see what happened with Callum Wilson right now? It's like, well, he's 33 or whatever. Like, you expected a little bit at that age. He's young.
Yeah. What I will say though, is that I actually do think that Mason Mount fits into this Amarin system so much better than some of those other players. I think in that role that Diallo was playing, and obviously, look, it's hilarious to say Diallo shouldn't be playing at Mason Mount, should be after that performance. But the way that Mason Mount can press from that position, his passing, his link-up play, his ability to get goals, he actually does fit into this system quite well. So I weirdly do think if he can sort the injury problem out, which is a huge if, I actually think he's going to be a really good asset for Man United. And I actually think he'll have I think he'll actually end up having a good career at Man United, but he's just got to be fit.
Amarim likes him. Amarim starts him every opportunity he gets, doesn't he? He can't finish the games, but he starts the games. I think you compare him to someone like Rashford, and there's certainly more hope for someone like Mason Mount than there is for Rashford at Man United at the moment. I mean, I think you're both right, by the way, Brian and Craig. I think you're right that he's trying to teach Rashford a lesson, Craig. I also think if you gave Amorim a button right now and said, if you press that, he's gone, he'd press it fucking twice, mate.
Really?
Yeah. Because exactly as it's just you. If you're a new manager coming into that team, you'd look at him and you'd be like, "You've been a fucking problem for every manager that's come before me. You were a problem for Jose. You were a problem for fucking Ten Hag. You're a problem for everyone." Ollie kind of got the best out of him, and then he didn't. Everyone's had to drop him at some point. Like, I think everyone would just look at that as a 350 grand a week issue that you wish you could just get rid of.
I feel like complacency as well. Like, cause he's been bred there and literally like had the world as his oyster around that place. There's a level of complacency of I can do what the fuck I want. Clearly, because he's had multiple managers had to discipline him, which we've not seen with any of these other players by comparison anywhere near the level. Remember that week out in Dublin that he had, you know? So I feel like complacency is like a disease. When you're especially a new manager and you're wanting to stamp your authority and get the standards to what you expect, you have to stamp it out immediately. But with Rashford, it's always going to be there because he's like, what the fuck are you going to do? I'm 325 grand a week. I got a fucking contract at the end of time. What are you going to do? I'm outliving you here. And he's known that with every manager, and it's always came to fruition. So if he can't get rid of him, I think it would be, and here's when you know it's bad, because the guy, obviously he's had a good career. I'm a Newcastle fan. I wouldn't want him anywhere near my club. Because again, that complacency, it breeds it with other players. Do you think, well, if he's not fucking pulling his weight, why should I?
Yes.
Can I just say as well, I actually think for the betterment of Rashford's career, he should leave as well. I think he goes, and if he goes to Spain, would you take him?
Well, we wouldn't pay those wages, but I'd take him.
Exactly.
So if it goes well, if he goes somewhere else, do you think it goes well though?
I say outside the Premier League, if you, from my perspective.
Because I think it's a Raheem Sterling 2.0 me. I think with Sterling, he got used to being comfortable, just like Rashford is. And when you have to go out of a comfortable situation and into a place where you don't have the loyalty of the fans because you're not like Mr. Manchester, you got to really graft for every single opportunity. I think he doesn't have the minerals for it.
The difference between Sterling and Rashford, though, is that Sterling actually won loads of Premier League titles and is like Man City's second all-time top goal scorer. So he actually did things. No offense to Marcus Rashford, but he actually did things there. Whereas, like, you know, Rashford at Man United, it hasn't. But the thing is, you know what Man United fans are like? They're such a weird fan base in the sense that, like, it took them forever to get rid of Anthony Martial. Like, there was still weirdo fans that were like, it's Anthony Martial. Like, he's still, look what, that time he did the little reverse dink chip over the, like, look what he's capable. They hang on to little moments and memories of what the player could be. Like, remember he was supposed to be the next Thierry Henry. Like, they always, okay, that's my buzzer. I don't know, like, I don't know. You lot take one, so I gotta get this.
No, but do you know what? The thing with Rashford, and I'm going to be very honest with you. You might remember this. I wanted him in the summer.
Oh, I remember.
I did.
Why?
I tell you why, Josh, because the thing is, I don't know if you've noticed this. There's no left wingers anymore. Like, where the fuck have all the left wingers gone?
Would you take him now?
Would I take him now? I wouldn't invite him around to dinner now. I don't trust him. I've been hurt by Raheem Sterling. And I think, you know, it's an interesting comparison. And Craig's right, by the way. Like, Raheem Sterling's got the medals. He's got the medals. And let's be honest. When we watch Raheem Sterling coming through at QPR, look at the career he's had at Liverpool, at City, and for England, by the way. I think there were multiple tournaments where Raheem Sterling was the best player for England at a tournament. Did he fulfill his potential? The answer's yes. For whatever he is right now, Raheem Sterling, he's going to retire with a big trophy cupboard. Big trophy cupboard. Plenty of England caps. And he can retire and go, you know what? Maybe I did slow down at 28, 29 when I should have had a few more years in me, but fair fucks. Raheem, like Rashford, like he's never fulfilled it. And I think it points to a really worrying trend of, I think you could include Mount in this. English players at that age, 27, 28, getting big contracts. And then almost putting their feet up, like not kicking on. And I with Rashford, as I say, there's just no left wingers. And I look at Rashford, I'm like, on your day, you can do anything. You can kick a ball better and that sounds so stupid to say he can kick a ball, but the way he strikes a ball, he can do free kicks, he can cross a ball, like physically, his pace, his power, his height, he should be England's left winger. And I'm sorry, but why would he get...
It's a mentality issue, mate. Like, He's
sad.
probably arguably got more talent than Anthony Gordon, but Anthony Gordon's like, he's like a wolf, you know what I mean? He's got that
He
fucking
gives a
energy.
fuck. He cares, Brian. He runs. And it's sad. I honestly, the thing with Rashford, ultimately, I think it's sad. You look at an England player with all that potential, all that, and let's, like, we question his character. The guy fucking took on a Tory government and fed kids. He's not an arsehole, but something's happened where he just hasn't fulfilled that potential. And I think, honestly, I look at it as an England fan, I just think it's really sad.
I just don't think he's a big enough competitor mentally. You know, you hear about like the greatest sports people, you know, I remember when Kobe Bryant died, we heard all about his mentality and all of that. And some people just don't have it. In my opinion, I don't think he's got it. But we'll wrap that one there, lads. Great chat.